Hello everyone and welcome to Gierok Farms. We have just finished up with morning chores here on the dairy farm, and Dad has started on a project in the dairy barn. There was a pipe that was rusting real bad and starting to leak. So we're getting ahead of it here while it's still kind of warm out. It's not a crazy winter day yet. Dad's gonna take advantage of it, get some work done here in the stall barn. Replace some of our pipes and our water lines.
This area of the water system was replaced in '94. We put in some new stalls and we put all new pipe in. It's kind of the upside, we call it. It's just usually a little damper because it's further into the ground. But the salt in the feed, and of course the acidity of the silages, and this pipe is up on the curb. And we realize there's a lot better ways, different types of plumbing we could be getting into, but this is what's in here. That lasts a long time. So it was damp there maybe almost a month ago already. Then it was getting a little worse just last week. And I knew in my mind, we better get at this and fix this, because I know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna come there one morning, it's gonna be spraying out, huge mess, gutters full of water, below zero weather.
And then we'll be hauling water out of the barn.
And we've been there, and a lot of times they don't get no warning.
When was the last time the barn flooded? I had to have been pretty young the last time it did.
There was one time it was coming out of the front door and there was 4 inches on the walk and it was up into half the stall. So I realized, the one thing you learn from that is the grade of your barn. You know, the back end is probably about 4 inches higher. That was pretty bad. I had to get a guy to help me because, you know, we had to feed and milk and everything was water. The whole barn, everything in there had to get swept out. All the hay, straw, everything. And then, of course, milk the cows. And then it was already 5 o'clock in the afternoon by the time we cleaned that all up. And all it was is a valve got stuck. And I think what I did, I may have, I can't remember for sure, but if I replaced a piece like this up the line, and then a piece of rust breaks off and it lays in the bottom of that pipe and it works its way up into a valve and it makes a valve get stuck. So my theory is, even though we got other things to do yet today, get it done earlier in the day so that we're around, so that we can catch this before. Because to get some water, like if it ran for a half hour, we got an auger, but it runs all night. So I know at home where I grew up, the pump for the well was in the house, it was in the basement underneath where my dad slept. So if he'd hear that thing running at night, and he knew that there's something not right. But here we would have no way of knowing. There's other ways, but so we check on it.
So we're down in the shop now making some new pieces, and here's gonna be our shorter piece, our splice. So since there's threads on each end, you got to have a special union like what we just put on in order to put these two pieces of pipe together, because you have to thread into your one existing end and then thread into your other existing end and then somehow put them together in the middle.
So when I put it together from each drinking cup, which is every other stall, I just put one continuous line in. And I've seen it done where, I guess if we'd done it by the book, we'd have one of these unions between every drinking cup. So when you have problems like this, you don't have to take the whole system apart. In this case, the pipe was bad anyway. Take the chop saw, cut it in the center somewhere, take both pieces out. And then what we learned to do, and you can see here, as soon as we started doing some wrenching already, it just ripped it open. You know, of course we shut the water off first. And even here, it's squashing it down already where it was attached. So I took my chop saw, cut it, and then we'll lay it about the width of the blade of the chop saw and measure it. What we're doing now, except we're putting a union in the center, and we want to make our new piece exactly that long, because you can't stretch steel pipe, so it fits in what we already have going on up there. Because as soon as you start stretching or pushing, you're going to create problems further down the line. And that's always the fear of getting into this. If this looks like this here during that one section, it all was put in '94. Well, some of the other sections aren't too far off from that happening. So you start rattling stuff around, you could open up a big can of worms. And then I always make sure I got new pieces of pipe. This is inch pipe in this section, and partly because it's just stronger. It's at the beginning of the water line that leads into the barn. Another thing I was thinking about this the last couple of years too is where it crosses over the walk, we have no valve. So if the low side would, for instance, spring a leak during chores or something, we could shut that off instead of shutting the whole barn off. Then you still have your cows got water, you can isolate areas. So there's always ways to try to make it a little nicer to get through. But But this ain't nothing new. A lot of times during milking, I had one of you boys milking or something, and I'm busy working on this in the evening. It's got to get done. Cows got to have water. It ain't like summer. So we never get, this never pops up in the summer. It's there. It's like it's waiting to break. It's just not getting used until they start staying in overnight, and then they're rattling the pipes more, and maybe a cow will stand on the line or something, and it'll just leak.
Yeah, so what he's trying to say is during the summer when they're grazing, they're outside with our water tank, our bulk water outside. They're drinking out of that versus drinking in the barn all the time. And that being said, some of you old guys might know about it. I've heard of guys back in the day where they had to water their cattle outside of the barn. They didn't have water in the stall barn itself. So when they would let their cows out, that's when they would drink and things like that. They had a water source somewhere else.
Yeah, I know a farm that they're a little more old school, but they've got several hundred cows they milk, and I think it's like at least a 70 cow stall barn, and there's no water system in there because these cows all are housed in a free stall barn, but they're milked in a stall barn. So really, what they're doing is they're just laying out their mineral protein corn mix or something.
A little treat, yeah.
Yeah, to get them in there, get them lined up, tie them all up, milk them, and I think they switch it out once or twice or whatever it is, but yeah, no water system. So in the summer, that wouldn't be an issue at all for us if we had to shut our lines down but then again, to fill our stock tanks, the line that goes through the barn virtually feeds the back where the stock tanks are too. So either way, we gotta correct this. The other fear of this whole thing is sub-zero weather. I mean, you learn fast how to close things up enough during whatever temperature you're going to get that night to prevent freezing. We've had it just where stuff was froze. Even though the temperature was only nothing too cold, the wind came maybe from a different direction and causes like a breeze in an area where it normally wouldn't. Yeah. Then you got a section all froze up. And now you plug everything up, you're milking cows, they feed them the grain, they're looking for water, and you're kind of praying that things open up by themselves before, and then it did something break from the freeze too. So that can get kind of hairy. You almost have to learn your system. So we had a system where we would put our milk cows into a freestall barn. We would have to provide some other type of heat in that dairy barn during these really cold days.
So we're gonna finish getting stuff put together down here, and then we'll move up into the dairy barn. Okay, so we're up in the dairy barn now. This is where the break was, and we're gonna clean up around here and get some of the chaff and gunk out before we install the new piece.
You know, that little build up there, so it ain't sitting on that.
Okay, so Dad's turning the water on now. We're gonna flush it out before we assemble things. And that just gets any of the gunk and rust out, at least the bulk of it, from that side of the system before we would push it into our new pipe and the rest of the system.
So what we'll do is we'll run the stock tank back there for a while. So then whatever's in here will go, you know, hopefully it pushes it out there, doesn't harbor up, because if you wait to let the cows drink, it'll suck it up into the valves, and sometimes that little piece will be rolling around in there a while. It could be days later. All it has to do is make a valve stick at the wrong time of the day or night, and you got a big mess. can give a little too. Yeah, for a while there, we replaced this whole side within 2 years, and then about half the other side. We had no plumbing trouble for a long time. Why are we so long? Did I measure? No, we laid the pipe together. Something must have moved here. Yeah, this moved over. We'll get it shoved in. We imitated, so it's gotta be, we can't be more than an 1/8 inch off. There, that's really close. A lot closer. Let it go. We realized there's a lot better system, but that was what was in here. I have every tool I need to fix this. I got this mastered, and I don't know. I suppose if we had to redo everything on a whole section, maybe we'll think about changing our way of doing it. Replace a section with something a lot different, a lot more modern. The best I've seen, Bob's, that the water's inside that New York tie stall. There's a pipe about right here, and it's a really heavy pipe. Actually, the cows are tied to it besides. That's where the water goes, inside that pipe. You don't have all this down here, it's up here. And then they have like a piece of hydraulic hose, in a sense, leading to your pipe. So even though she might be rubbing it around, it's flexed, it's hardy. And then where they go across a walkway like this, so you got the stall pipe ends right here, and then on the end there's a piece of heavy tubing that goes down underneath the concrete, comes back up. You know, same thing with going to the other side, it goes underneath. Now the only downside to that is if you ever had an issue. Well, if you let's say you want to drain all your water pipes, you'd have to push air to get your water out. Or if you had problems, I suppose then you'd go overhead like we done here. You know, you just go to Plan B, I guess, to correct it. I like the idea that it's less likely it rusts out way up here than down. That's the problem here. This is down on the curb where there's feed buildup around it.
Let us know in the comments, those of you that have been in dairy barns or have seen barns set up like that, let us know what type of watering system they have. PEX is becoming super popular over PVC and things like that, so let me know down in the comments what you guys have seen and
how it holds up, you know, for time and durability.
Especially in a stall barn like this, what have you seen guys doing to update and change everything if it ever came to that one day? So we are finished with the project in the barn, the plumbing project for the day. A little bit of a maintenance video for you guys. Make sure to leave plenty of comments down below of what you thought of our pipe setup and our watering system. I also wanted to let you guys know that if you want to support us in more ways than just one, go check out GierokFarms.com where you can get yourself some of these lovely hats we have. And before I let you guys go, I want to say how crazy it is to have weather like this right before New Year's Day, end of December, and it's 35-40 degrees and sunny. It's a really nice day, great day to work. But as for the rest of the day, we're gonna load some feed, move some silage. Looks like Dad's gonna let some of our heifers out so they can do some sun tanning, some sunbathing before winter really sets in here. So thank you all for watching, thank you all for the support, and we'll see you guys next time.